Welcome to the Lummy Sports Show with Brian Babyface Matroni. Now here's Lummy. Boo, 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 boo. Was that better for you, Brian?
Yeah, but you kind of job yourself out doing the introduction. Since you're the big host and everything, I should probably do it for you. Is what I'm saying. In the future, moving forward, in future state.
Yes, then I will give you that point when I say, are you ready, Brian? And then I'll pipe you
I'll
up.
just wait and see for you to turn my mic on. As soon as it turns red, I'll jump right on in.
Awesome. See? Now that's what a pro you are. And that's what I always expect coming out of you, Brian. You're always a pro. You're always ready.
Consummate professional.
Exactly. I mean, you came in here, you signed those signs for everybody. They got out. The merch crick's kicking ass. You were here, 10 minutes after I text you. You're amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Today,
I'm reliable and I keep my word. That's the most important thing. My word is my bond, Lummy. So if I say I'm going to do something, I get it done. And if I can't get it done, then I'll definitely let you know ahead of time.
Well, you know what? Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I know that was a slight at me, Dick.
No. What
Don't
are you
worry
talking
about it. It's all good,
I don't
Brian.
even know what you're
I'm in a
talking
good
about.
mood. We got a Tampa Bay sports, I would say.
Sports broadcasting legend.
Yes, in the Tampa area. I mean, he's been, I think, in this area since 2006, 2007.
He's this Tampa Bay sports people's champion.
That is 100%. He covers all things Tampa, but he also gets out and does other, he's at the NFL Combine. So we will have somebody on our big time, the #1 sports show on Facebook and YouTube on a double penetrating platform. Rock Riley. Woo!
Woo!
Pew, pew, pew. He will be calling in at 4:15. We're going to pick his mind. I'm kind of curious on what his thoughts are on this MLB strike, along with what's going on in the NFL. Brian, you did say this is all hubbubaloo.
It still is a little bit, but it looked like they were a hair away from getting it done, and then it didn't come to fruition on yesterday, I guess. So now the first two series have been canceled. Yeah,
I've already lost some of my tickets again. It's getting a little sad. We went to the USFL baseball game, and Ashley did say, she's like, can I call in and ask Brian, he was pretty confident in saying that we weren't probably going to lose, the regular season.
What I said was I thought that they would have an agreement by the end of this week and that they wouldn't have the regular season compromised. I still think that can happen. I don't think it's completely going to be games lost, but it's so stupid. It's so idiotic. Not even, I'm not going to get into the whole, players are being prima donnas or anything like that, because a lot of stuff they're arguing for doesn't benefit the top level players. It's fighting for the minor leaguers and the the entry level guys and things like that. But these owners are greedy, man. They're greedy.
So you're on the side of the owners?
No, the owners are greedy, I said.
Okay, so you're on the side of the players.
No, I'm on the side of the fans.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, there's three sides in this negotiation.
Well, I'm seeing it, and like you've told me, and I've talked to you a couple times coming up here when you were signing the signs, that you think it's a lot of clickbait. They're not that far apart. They're pretty close, and I've been messaged by different fans saying they're upset. They're blaming the commissioner. They're blaming the owners, and then you go at the players are being crybabies. They want what the big. Is the luxury tax, I guess? I guess that's the biggest thing.
There's a few things I think that are keeping them apart, but it's what it boils down to is absolutely 100% greed. Greed more so on the owner's side, I think, than anything else. I mean, they had months to get this done. This isn't a surprise. And they wait until the final week of February to really start negotiating.
Isn't that how it normally happens, though?
No, I mean, not when you want to avoid a work stoppage. They should have been working on this all winter. I mean, this should have been from the time the season ended until now. This should have all been hammered out.
Oh, exactly. They were saying that they always had these little talks, but they were going to start hammering out now. And they said, why didn't you guys start in December? Why didn't you start in November when this whole thing became a problem? And it seemed like, was the owners just trying to, pound their chest and say they're going to need us more than we need them? Or like what kind of changed?
I mean, I don't really know why they're taking this hard stance. They've got more. The problem is they've got more money coming in than ever, and that's a golden problem. But it's causing the players to push for more. But the new national TV deals and media rights deals are enormous. And the players know this, and the owners know this, and the owners are trying to keep as much of it as possible, and the players are trying to get as much of it as possible.
Well, do you see that maybe the owners also, with the whole COVID thing, knowing that they can still turn a profit with the TV revenue, that they really don't need people showing up to the stadium?
Well, they need to play the games.
Yeah, no, I understand
and
that.
they lose out on TV revenue when you're canceling games.
No, but I'm saying, I like what I mean is that they're seeing it as, like, probably before the deals that they had in place, that they don't need the fans in the stands now. I mean, yes, they need to play, but do you see it to where they're even more than they have in the past downsizing the stadiums? Like they're making smaller, quaint stadiums. Do you see that these TV revenue deals are so massive that they maybe make almost like a major league in some of the smaller markets, like a minor league 20,000-25,000 seat
that's
stadium?
not minor league. That's
no, I know, but
minor league 25,000 seater.
No, but I'm saying just like
no, I think you'll see seating capacity shrink because demand is shrinking. You and I were talking about it the other day when I was in here signing the signs. Is I just don't have any desire to go to sporting events unless I'm in a luxury situation where I'm getting food and drink and all of that, and it's a super comfortable situation, not sitting, in the bleachers in the outfield watching a game. First of all, Trop isn't a great spot for that anyways, but even if it were, it's just not, the appeal of going to sporting events as I get older, and it may just be me with having a kid and everything, but it's diminishing every single year that goes by, and I think COVID really sped that up for me. And saying, okay, well, I can reprioritize my time and find something, find something else to do. And rather than driving to the stadium, finding parking, dealing with security, getting to your seats, and all that time that it takes to play the game, you're at your house, the game starts, you turn the TV on, you want to go do something else, the game sucks, you go and do something else.
Yeah, well, especially with baseball, there's not really much action you can miss in that. I mean, I've been to 2 games now. I've been to the USF game. I went last night, and I think it was last weekend, and I had a lot of fun.
They
$75 for the season.
They put it on FIU yesterday.
Joe Girardi was at the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we stood next to him for a while. He said Walker was really cute. Tried not to bother him. His kid was playing second base for him. He starts at second base
for the Bulls?
FIU.
Oh.
But, he's staying in Clearwater, normally during that spring training. He's still coaching for the Phillies, which I did not know that he was actually coaching there. Let me take this first one. 863.
Hey, y'all. It's track meet. Sorry to interrupt your show. Y'all were talking baseball. I live down the street from pitcher. He's been up and down in the minor leagues, and I stopped and talked to him the other day, and I was going to call Bubba and ask if you wanted to talk to him, but I figured it'd be better for yours and Brian's show. But Kyle Ryan lives like 6 houses down from me, and he plays for St. Louis. And I kind of stopped to talk to him while I was drinking a beer the other day, just kind of pick his brain about the baseball thing. And he's still active roster, and he said mainly it's the older guys that aren't really playing as much, or just the guys who did play trying to look out for the new guys. It's not so much the new guys because they're happy just to be in there, and they don't want to make a stink, because if they make a stink, then they're causing a problem. So it's a lot of the older guys just trying to look out for some of the guys in the minors who they know might not make it to the top or something like that, from what I've understood. And I asked Kyle if he would like to speak with y'all or call in, and I didn't ask him for his number because I want to make sure y'all wanted to talk to him first before I ask him his number and bother him.
Yeah, I mean, we're always open to talking to athletes. I mean,
major leaguers.
He's
all right. Well, he's still playing for St. Louis, I believe. And like I said, I think.
Well, he got signed to a minor league deal with St. Louis in 2021. He was previously with the Cubs, and then before that, the Detroit Tigers.
So currently, he's not being paid right now. So maybe you need to bring up some beers.
He's part of that deal.
Yeah, maybe bring up some beers. So
well, he wasn't stressing it too much when I rolled up burning one in front of him, because track meet was track meet. I live in a very nice neighborhood, so when I do that, all my neighbors are like, "Oh, I can't believe you." I'm like, chill out, bro. It's just poetry.
Exactly. Yeah. Just get it, and we'll definitely talk to him, especially more baseball keeps going on.
Awesome. That sounds good, man, because I'll probably see him more around if he's not signed or if he's still in the minor league. I'll see him around more. So I'll get his number for y'all, and I'll get y'all in touch with each other. I appreciate it, guys.
Sounds good. Thanks, Track Meet.
All right.
He struggled last year, Mr. Ryan, pitching to a 6.75 ERA in 13 appearances with a 1.73 WHIP.
Yeah, maybe he was Track Meeting a little too hard with Track Meet.
8 strikeouts versus 6 walks. Ouch.
Yeah, he's 30.
Ouch.
He's got a couple more years.
He had his best season was probably 2019 with the Cubs. He appeared in 61 innings. That was over 73 games. So he was kind of specialized. You won't see that too much anymore, where relief pitchers come in and pitch so many fewer innings than appearances in games because of the rule of the 3-batter minimum.
Yeah. What do you think about that rule?
I think it's great. I think it speeds the game up. I think it stops this,
back and forth
and eliminating pinch hitters by bringing in one pitcher, and it's it requires pitchers to be a little bit more complete too, and not just be able to get an out. And the game's driven by offense. 2-0, 2-1 games don't really move the needle too much.
Not at all.
So MLB knows that, and that's part of the reason why they went with that change.
I want to go back to the stadium thing. There's people in chat too. Like, have you brought your daughter to a game, or was she too young?
No, I brought her to
thing?
one Rays game. They had tickets that they were giving away last season, pretty much in the outfield. And I brought her to one of those. She didn't last long. It, for a 3-year-old, it's not a great experience. I think when she's more, 5 years old, 6 years old, that's when they can really start to get into it and understand the rules of the game, what's going on. Right now, it's just, she's there just to watch.
And I think that's one thing with the stadium experience, which I'm a little disappointed. A lot of people are now turned off with the strike, that a lot of going to the game, like Troglodyte says, taking the Green Line into Boston and walking a mile to Fenway, as a kid. It's an experience. Obviously, the Trop's not an experience, but I feel like as a kid perspective, going to a live game compared to watching it on TV, I feel like that's going to change. I think the kids will be disinterested if they have to watch it on TV compared to being there.
No, it's for a kid. It's definitely more engaging being there, and because it's a new experience. I guess it's like anything in life, As you get older, the novelty of it wears off. But he says I'll speed the game up. It's proven there's more action in baseball versus NFL. That's fine. But the time of walking out to the mound, switching pitchers, pitcher comes in, warms up, pitches to one batter, walk up to the mound, get in another pitcher warms up, pitches to one batter is that is boring. That is like 15 minutes to get through 2 batters.
So what do you feel about instant replay then for baseball?
Oh, I like that they're going to be going to the robot umps.
I don't like that.
I do. Why not have if the technology is there and to get the calls right? Why not get them right? Why? Why? You enjoy when fucking umpires blow calls? That's fun to you? That's fun?
No, but are you saying the robot
Stupid.
Umpires behind home plate?
Just balls and strikes.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
There's still an umpire behind home plate. Okay, but his job is to call, balks and things of that nature, and watch home plate. But you want to get the strike zone should be uniform and fair. It's stupid to have this ump's got he allows 3 inches on the inside but none on the outside and all that stupid stuff. It's stupid. It's 2022. We shouldn't be doing that.
No, I agree. Rock called the wrong number. He's going to be calling here shortly. I thought you meant you wanted robots for the bases, for everything. I think you still need that human element.
I think they should have the Hawkeye technology like they use in tennis to rule a ball in or out. That should be absolutely be used.
Brian, we are joined by probably if you lived in Tampa from the 90s to 2000s. What did you call him earlier, Brian?
I said he's a sports icon, a Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend.
Rock Riley joins us live from the NFL Combine. You can find him on all social media. What's it? Real Rock Riley, the Real Rock Riley, on your Twitter, Instagram.
You got it. What's up, boys?
How's it going? You were joined, Lummy and baby Brian, Babyface Matroni. How's it going, Rock?
Good, Babyface. Everything is good here in Indy at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, how are things there? What's the atmosphere like? What's the mood like? Finally being back there for what should be a pretty normal combine.
Yeah, it really is. It's packed. It's one of the guys that's at the table that I'm at calls it like a football carnival. It's the first couple of days. Yesterday was the first full day. Today's the second full day. It's all NFL head coaches, general managers, front office staff, coaching staffs, and then NFL media. Now, starting tomorrow, we're located in the media room where radio stations are and things like that, Radio Row. We're next to the bench press where the college kids are going to start doing all their workouts for the scouts. The college kids came in today, and then they met with the media, and there's so much media here. But really, it's a who's who and finding out what's going on in the NFL for the first 2 days. You're finally getting content. And really, when you're overhearing different teams, you're walking by, these coaches, Vrabel was right here by me about an hour ago, Ron Rivera from the Washington football team, John Lynch was in here, San Francisco 49ers, and then, of course, all the Buccaneer contingent yesterday. And it's all about the quarterbacks. Like so many teams are looking for the quarterbacks. That's really been the mood of the first 2 days with the NFL people.
Now, I follow you. Sorry, Brian. I follow him on the Real Rock Riley on Twitter, and you got to talk to Bruce Arians and Jason Light. I believe it was yesterday, correct?
Yes, you got it, Lummy.
Now, what is their feelings on? Obviously, we know that they said Tom Brady's always welcome back, but what is their feeling on the quarterback situation for the Bucs?
Honestly, and I was looking at them like eye to eye within like 2 feet, and you can see it written all over their face. They're not going to be able to trade or acquire a name quarterback. I mean, everybody in Tampa Bay is like, we're spoiled, like, oh, Brady. Okay, oh, well, we got to get Aaron Rodgers. Oh, we got to get Russell Wilson. Oh, what about Deshaun Watson? Oh, it's not happening. And, you can see it on their face, and even Arians and Jason Light were saying, 2 years ago, Brady was a free agent. He had his choice. He picked the Buccaneers. He studied the roster. He saw the situation. It's like, I think they can win. He saw the weapons with the Evans and the Godwin, and then he talked to Gronk. But he was a free agent. Well, Pete Carroll was speaking here. I went over there today, and I saw him, and he's like, where are these rumors of Russell Wilson trades? It's not happening. We're not giving up Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers, who's like a Karen, and he's always complaining, yet he was able to talk Tom Clements, the longtime quarterback coach, out of retirement to come to Green Bay. Like, even though he didn't make his decision, doesn't look like he's leaving. And then the Kyler Murray, they extended him. So there's really and Arians and Light both said, so in order to have a trade, and especially of a good player, what do you got to give up? So many number ones, give up everything. You got the money situation, and are these teams willing to deal them? And if they really are willing to deal them, then what's the deal there? So honestly, in reality, I know Bucs fans don't want to see it. It's not happening. So, there's not going to be one of these names here.
So you've gone through the big names, but let's go to the second-tier names, okay? Obviously, Kirk Cousins' contract's a little bit stifling in terms of the ability to take on and how much would Minnesota be able to hold back. But Derek Carr's sitting out there, right? And he just had a very good season amidst a lot of adversity in Vegas. Why not make a move for somebody like that? Because between you and I would also like a second part of that is, could this Bucs team possibly win with Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask as their starting quarterback?
Realistically, unless it's an unbelievable, all of a sudden Kyle Trask comes out like maybe Mac Jones. Nobody thought that he would be that good as a rookie with the Patriots. You'd have to hope. What are the chances of hoping for something like that? Now, you mentioned Derek Carr. Well, here's Josh McDaniels. He gets the gig. He said he's learned. He went back to New England. He's well prepared now to win as a head coach. He wasn't in Denver, and he's like, I'm not giving up Derek Carr. I got Derek Carr. He's my quarterback. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yes, Derek Carr, that would be a nice fit for him to come in here. But are the Raiders going to give up Derek Carr? You see what I'm saying?
Probably not.
What about Carson Wentz? Indy's going to have to make a decision here. And part of this, Rock, I think the biggest problem for these quarterback trades is the lack of quarterback talent in this draft, or the perceived lack of quarterback talent in this draft, because teams would be willing to take 2 firsts and a second if they knew that in the next year or two they were going to have their next guy. But when you look at this quarterback draft, I mean, are you hearing anything there at the combine about maybe a surprise quarterback moving up or anything like that so far?
Yeah, no, that will come within the next 2 days. I was really studying here the NFL situation, but you got a really good point there, because Jason Light, when I asked Jason Light yesterday, I said, okay, Jason, is there a possibility, a chance that you might try to pick up a quarterback in the first round? I know you went with a quarterback last year with Kyle Trask, but still, in your situation right now, you're saying it's very hard to get a veteran in here. Would you do that? And he goes, well, and he's careful with his words, but he's like, this isn't a particularly really good quarterback draft. You normally would have maybe 8. Maybe there's 4 or 5, maybe. And with all these teams that are drafting way higher than them, you're right. There's no real stud. Maybe Kenny Pickett. Is he going to be around? There's the Ritter, there's a couple of names there, but it's not one of those big years where you've got these stud quarterbacks coming out. So there's also that on top of it. So you did mention, go ahead.
I was going to say Carson Wentz.
I was
going to get with the Carson Wentz. I was going to say, I mean, are you hearing up there? I've heard Carson Wentz even maybe possibly going to Pittsburgh.
It's funny. Yeah, I've heard some of these quarterbacks. It's funny. We're on Radio Row, and like Denver's got a station right in front of us. And they're like, they got to get a quarterback. They got to get a quarterback. And then we heard Ron Rivera just about 45 minutes ago was sitting right behind me, and he was doing an interview for NBC Sports Washington, and he was like, you can try to win without a really good quarterback. You can't. So I mean, there's everybody is wanting, unless you have those top 5, everybody is looking for a good quarterback. So Wentz, a Teddy Bridgewater, those secondary names, they're mentioned everywhere. And you're right, that's not out of the realm of possibility, even for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Have you heard Jameis's name mentioned by anybody other than maybe in reference to his recovery?
Well, he was. I didn't ask the question, but there was a reporter right next to me yesterday. Steve, his name is, that asked Arians flat out. He goes, all right, is there any scenario where you could see the situation you're in now bringing Jameis back? And Arians just flat out, he said, no, I don't think that would be good for him.
Yeah.
That's how he put it. Good for him. And that was it. So you can just see, like, I don't think Arians wants to go that route with they tried everything. Darius Cutter tried it just to get him to stop with the interceptions, the turnovers. Arians did his best. And remember, Arians has worked with the best Luck and Big Ben and Carson Palmer. And, I mean, he's known as a quarterback. Like Clyde Christensen. He's a quarterback's coach. They tried everything and just couldn't get him to. So I don't see him. I don't see that happening here in Tampa Bay.
I mean, not that he put up huge numbers, but Peyton did get the best I think he could out of Jameis in terms of the balance between completing throws and not turning the ball over. 14 touchdowns versus 3 INTs in 161 attempts is not a bad stat line to have. And
now, but here's the thing. Yes. Now, I know a guy that covers them and does the post-game show with the Saints, and he's interviewed. Drew Brees just wrote a book on him for the last, 14 years and did it with Jameis. Sean Payton was very smart, and he had him as a game manager. He didn't have him throwing deep. He didn't have him taking any chances. They were running it a lot of short stuff. That was good. And again, it wasn't a full season. So, but for what we saw, it was the way to handle Jameis. But like in Arians, he's not going to do a game manager situation. You know what I mean?
No, but if I'm Denver, that's something that might interest me because their defense is good enough to win with a quarterback who's a game manager, a la the Ravens and winning with Dilfer. Not that they have that level of a defense, but they have a very good defense.
No, but what about this? Now, have you heard anything with Deshaun Watson that's going on? Because Lovey came out today and said he's sold on Davis Miles. So, yes. I mean, is Watson, maybe Denver for him, or have you heard anything on him?
Well, his agent came out 2 days ago, I said, and said, look, we are not even, looking at any teams. I got to get my client's name cleared. That is going to be the hardest thing. There was another setback, the whole thing is a mess in just trying to get the 28 women that have come through. I think it's a big number.
It's like 22, and he has to be. He's going to be deposed in like 9 of those cases or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, now Arians has a relationship with Deshaun and likes him a lot, and was asked yesterday about that possibility. Even if somehow they could get him and actually get all that squared away and it's only an 8 or 10 game suspension, what about that possibility? And he was like, first of all, I know him. I'm surprised he's in that situation. But he's like, that's way over my head. That's an organizational deal. And then from what we understand, the Glazers don't want to sign off on that mess. So that's what we're hearing. But no, there's a ton of teams that would, oh man, if they only knew that he's only suspended for like 8 games, they'd take him.
Like Carolina. We're on the phone with Rock Riley, live from the Combine. You can catch him on Real Rock Riley or his podcast, which I tune into. It's the Rock Stops Here podcast, which is actually a really good podcast. Rock Riley. Been in Tampa. How long have you been in Tampa? Since 97, 96?
99.
99.
It's a long time ago. It's so funny because I worked at Bay News 9 as the sports anchor, sports reporter. I had a live show for 18 years. And I'm gone now maybe 3.5, and it feels like I was there maybe 5. No one gives a crap on what you did in the past. So that's funny, Lummy.
Well, you are a sports legend. Brian and I both respect your work.
Yeah, absolutely, consummate professional, and in a town that is not, for as much as we love our sports teams now, Tampa is an interesting sports town, isn't it, Rock?
Oh, it is. It definitely is. And you know what, man? How about it, though, the last couple of years, Tampa Bay? The back-to-back with the Lightning, and then the Rays in the World Series and deep in the playoffs. And now, are we going back to reality? I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's going to, I think we're going, well, with the exception of the Lightning. And the Lightning, it's just going to be a squeeze over the next 2 or 3 seasons. But I was referring more to Tampa sports and Tampa sports media. I mean, you look at major serious sports cities and they've got this presence with talent and local talent who, cover the teams, and Tampa seems to be lacking that. I mean, you were a part of that, and certainly before he passed, Steve Dumig was a part of that, but it seems like there's just this vacuum now in terms of relatable and identifiable sports analysts in Tampa.
Where did you grow? Did you grow up here? Or
my whole life, but when I travel to other cities, you listen to shows like Mike and the Matt. They and obviously that's New York. It's a bigger market, but like you said, even Denver has local guys there, and it just doesn't seem to be that feel in Tampa. Like we miss out on that, which I think kind of contributes to the lack of a connection with the team. Because when you can connect through a team with someone like you, or through the the sports teams with someone like you, it strengthens that because it's one thing to be a fan of the Bucs on Sundays, but then what are you doing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when nothing's going on with the Bucs, right? And that's where to me somebody like you bridges that gap.
Oh, well, thank you. But I am surprised that there's not there's only one sports station in Tampa Bay. There's a lot of markets that are smaller that will have two, sometimes three, because usually you can sell sports talk, and especially if you got a team or two, you know what I mean? I remember but that's, so I just try to do my job, but I know what you're saying. No,
you do a great job of it. I'm saying there needs to be more Rock Rileys on the air. I think it would help. I think it would help sports, Tampa sports, and the fandom here. But
you guys are doing it right there. You guys are doing a sports show.
We're filling the void. What's one thing that you're excited about seeing over the next 2 or 3 days as you watch the action at the Combine?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because it's just like they call it a car wash. Like, these kids, this is the biggest days of their lives coming up, and they have now they hire trainers that train you just for the Combine. And, John Lynch one time told us, he's like, bench press. John Lynch, who played safety, and he's in the Hall of Fame. He's like, bench press. That's the most useless exercise for me for a safety. I'm never pushing somebody off, or okay, a guy can run, a 4.2 or a 4.18, but does it translate when he puts pads on and actually plays football? But because of millions of dollars are at stake, they can set up their families for generations. They have several agents and marketing deals that there's so much pressure on these kids that it's almost like, oh my God, like I did a little video today and just the amount of media and fans peppering these kids. And now they're also, I'm walking over here right now here to the bench press area for tomorrow when they're going to do bench press. And they come out and there's a whole load of stands and they're going to allow fans and there's hooting and hollering and they have all these scouts and they're being, it's so interesting. To me, that is interesting. I do like the first 2 days, though, and trying to get as much NFL inside stuff. What are you hearing? What's going on over here? What's going to happen over here? So I think that's what's cool about this. Super Bowl is great. Radio Row, you got parties. The draft is great. But this, NFL people and NFL media, and then the college media, like from Alabama and Auburn, they're starting to come in here tomorrow because they know all these kids, and it mixes, and it's just like a football smorgasbord.
What do you now? Were you able to ask Justin Light or Bruce Arians on the offensive line for the Tampa Bay Bucks? Obviously, you had the retirement. Jensen is a free agent. Who's the other guard?
Marpet's gone.
Yep.
You got
Alex Kappa.
Yep.
Alex Kappa. He's a free agent. They got both Arians and Light stressed. The offensive line is where it's going to start. He's like, regardless of who's in here at quarterback, we got to be able to block. We got to be able to pass protect. We got to be able to. And, you don't know if Gronk, now the report is, just came out before I came on with you, the Buffalo Bills are going hard on Gronk.
Oh.
Josh Allen, that they want Gronk to finish out his career in Buffalo. So you might lose Gronk. He might not come back. O.J. Howard, he's built like a brick shit house. I don't know.
You can say that, yeah.
And okay, he built like a brick shit house, but yeah, what has he really done? Cameron Brate's getting old, so that's another thing. So the offensive line, they want to try to get Kappa back. This Stinney's been a backup, but he actually took them, and when they won the Super Bowl, he went to the playoff run and did a good job. Aaron's is like, here's the only positive I can give you this. At least, like, Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, did not get a head coaching job. Bowles, defensive coordinator, did not get a head coaching job. So at least they're going to have the same system. You don't have a new coordinator coming in or a new head coach where you got to learn a new system. There's something to be said about that. So at least they got that. And Arians and Light both said, we try to keep our own guys if we can. Jensen, he may go with the money, so you might be losing your center. And I think it did surprise a lot of people that Ali Marpet retired. So, yeah, it's a big thing.
Well, they're saying Ryan Jensen might be going to the Bengals, so I think he might be following the money to the Bengals.
That.
Rock,
yes.
How much of Gronk's value, though, is tied to his chemistry with Brady? Because, he is banged up. He missed a little bit of time this year, and it's not like he's out there blowing past defenders. He was a precise route runner who knew where Brady was going to get him the ball and knew where to go, and I just don't know that, he's going to be able to quickly develop that rapport with Josh Allen in Buffalo or another QB somewhere else. I'm fine with the Bucs drafting a tight end and restructuring Brate to keep him here. I think he's good enough to win with. But certainly we would need a second tight end if you let O.J. Howard go, or maybe you give him a 1 year, one more year show me deal and get him cheap. But how much of Gronk's value do you think is just tied to his rapport with Brady at this point?
A huge amount. You're right about that. But I have talked to the coaches that study the film and say he is a hell of a good blocking tight end that you don't see unless you watch the All-22. Seriously, even this year, he is a very good blocker still. And yeah, he had the broken rib and the punctured lung and all of that, still came back. But he's never played with another quarterback than Brady. And he even said, right during the playoffs, he's like, boy, I really like Burrow. Like, that's a guy I would like to, just kind of saying, if Tom isn't coming back, I'm interested in him. Josh Allen is pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
those aren't two bad quarterbacks.
But you're right. That's the only quarterback he's ever had in the NFL. Now, I asked that to Aaron yesterday. I said, can you give us any update on Gronk? What do you think? And he goes, I can tell you this. He's in the facility, the Bucs facility, 3 times a week. He's been working out in the facility 3 times a week. That surprises me. And number one, it tells me I don't think he's going to retire. But I would be surprised. Without Tom, I would be surprised. I think he might want to go back to his hometown and finish out. Because, look, the Bills are good. You got to admit, Bills are good.
Bills are great.
Bring them get over
the hump. Now, the same question, though, is the offensive linemen for the Bucs. I know they're good.
Yeah.
But I fear that Brady made them look great. And, 2.3, 2.4 second release time. Most NFL offensive linemen can block a D lineman for 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen when you have a quarterback who's struggling to go through progressions and needs 3.5 seconds to get rid of the ball? Is the line going to hold up the same way? Are these guys worth that money? Or do the Bucs decide, you know what, we're going to restart with a quarterback. Let's get some younger more affordable offensive linemen in here. Let's take our lumps and start looking at towards 2 to 3 years from now at a quick rebuild rather than trying to drag this sustained success off for another 2 seasons.
Yes, you are correct. Brady still gets rid of it. Not only does he get rid of it fast, he goes through his progressions faster than anybody. Clyde Christensen talked about it. I've seen it. When we had the joint practices this training camp this past summer with the Tennessee Titans, and the Tennessee media that was there at One Buck Place charted the amount of reps that Brady, and because when Gabbert would jump in and Ryan, what's his name, jump in, and then Griffin and number 4, they did 4 reps to the 1 rep that the Tennessee offense would do, just in drills. Everything starts in practice. Like with Brady, they do drills so much faster. You're done, boom, you get in snap, boom, 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 4-1. And I didn't notice it because I'm watching the Bucs practice all the time. So, and when Brady is looking at the opposing defense, like he's seen everything, so he can process it that fast. You're right. So you are right. There's no way whether the offensive line, oh my God, it's going to be a whole different ball game. So there is. So I see what you're saying. Like, okay, maybe it's a 2-year project, this and that. Arians is going to turn 70. Light. They both stressed yesterday that this challenge of being able to now have it, they're not trying to call it a rebuild. It is a rebuild. But can you imagine if they actually could get to the playoffs next year, maybe win one game without Brady, with these retirements, with everything, what would that do to their legacy?
Well,
these guys, they're looking at their legacy, man.
See,
I think it's a given though. Look at the division. Who?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, as long I don't think you win the division if Blaine Gabbert's your quarterback, but that's the problem, and we don't know what we have in Trask yet. That's the biggest question mark. But there's no excuse not to win the NFC South this year. None. I mean,
all three are weak.
Yeah, if you just marginally replace the guys that you're losing, you've got running backs a plug and play position in the NFL now. You should always have two or three guys that are capable of playing there. I mean, you look at teams around the league that do that on a weekly basis. So Lenny Fournette, I want him back, but if we can't get him, so be it. Godwin, who knows how he's going to recover from that? Most guys now recover from the ACL pretty well, but who knows? So there's a lot of question marks even on the guys that they want to bring back between Gronk, the O-lineman, Godwin. I just don't even know that bringing them all back is necessarily the answer.
Yeah, no, yes. But do you think their mindset is honestly like, you know what, man? We'll build this and it will take us 2 to 3 years. I don't know if that's I think that they don't want to fall back too far. But look, realistically, yes, like the NFC South, yes. That's what I think they're trying to do the best that they can with the draft and with free agency. Now they're going to have some salary cap room, but
do you see they're kind of almost maybe in that mindset, or they're maybe looking to do what John Gruden did after that Super Bowl? Remember, he kept just plugging in veteran quarterback, veteran wide receiver, running back, just always plugging it in until finally they just blew it all up, put Raheem Morris in, and it was like a 7. Yeah, I mean, that was a 7-year, but it was John Gruden. That was the same thing. They kept the parts. Derek Brooks here. They got rid of Sapp, but Barber. They just kept putting them in until finally, after I think John Gruden went 9-2, then lost 5 in a row. They fired him, and then they just blew everything up when they put Raheem in. I mean, do you see that's what they're going to do?
They had one of the best defenses in NFL history.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the best, but they had that. Like Warren said, we would go in there and Warren Sapp says, give us 16 points. We're going to win. Like that was it. 16 points. This defense isn't that. So, you know what I mean? So then they could get it done with Brad Johnson, who his arm was hurting at the time. I know you guys might have seen his trick shots. His arm's better now than I think it was.
I love those trick shots.
I think it's better now than it was that Super Bowl run.
Yeah, it's basketball and everything.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
So, but I don't see Bruce sticking around for a rebuild. I think he's going to give it one more season if they can figure it out. Otherwise, he's out the door, and it's one of these coordinators is going to be our head coach.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's when you were saying, like, you know what? Let some of these guys, let Kappa, don't pay them, let them go. Let's try with young guys. Maybe 2-3 years down the road, I don't see that mindset in Bruce Arians. I think you're right. And now, try to not fall off that bad. Because like yesterday's like, we have 6 Pro Bowlers signed. What team has 6 Pro Bowlers signed? So, I mean, of course, he's trying to put the positive spin, but the cupboard isn't totally bare.
There's one position that is, and it's the only one that matters in this league, period. If you don't have a quarterback, you can no longer win. And I think the teams like the Bucs in the past with their defense and the Ravens, I think once every 6 or 7 years you might see a team with a great defense and a middling quarterback pull off an upset. But the reality of this NFL now is there are only 5 teams, 6 teams that enter any season with a chance to win the Super Bowl.
I agree. I agree 100%.
And that's a problem for their product. I think it's a problem for the league, and it's something that they went so far in protecting these quarterbacks and opening up the offensive side of the game that now they've got themselves in a dilemma where what do you do? I mean, when 3/4 of the fans have very little hope that they're going to win it all to start the season before they even play one down of football, that's not a formula for a successful league.
I know, but the ratings this year were even higher than before.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
Rock, if Arians has one more year, and what assistant between Leftwich,
and Bowles.
Would you want to see the Bucs pick up as their next head coach?
You know what, man? Leftwich, see, here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you. It's hard to judge because with the COVID protocols, we were not able to talk directly to get inside information with players, with people in the building. We had to stay outside. You only get who the public relations gives you. In other words, if a guy's fucking up, he's blowing assignments, or you're seeing something, you want to talk to that player, they're not bringing that guy out.
Mm-hmm.
A kicker misses a field goal, they're not bringing him. They're not putting him on the Zoom, or they're not bringing him. And you don't get a follow-up. You can't get in the building. When I go to the Trop in all my years, I'm not going to mention names. I know certain people, they would tell me stuff like, oh, my God. After Joe Madden left and Kevin Cash came in, he had no managerial experience. We're standing outside the locker room to go in, clubhouse, and I see these guys come from the upstairs down, these young guys, and they got a big stack of papers. And I'm like, what's that? Oh, it's all the analytics. Oh, they're setting the lineup. They're giving Kevin Cash the lineup for tomorrow?
Oh.
Madden wouldn't make it till 2 o'clock. But my point is, I could see and find out inside information. But now, with COVID, I couldn't do that. So I really, I don't know, like, seeing how, and when you go to practice, you can only watch for the first 20 minutes, which is kind of warming up. You've seen a few of the drills. Then you got to leave. Then you got to come back an hour and a half, 2 hours later. When it's time for them to bring out six, you got to be far away. You got to have your beeper. Boom, no follow-ups, and then you got to leave. So it's hard to tell who's doing what behind the scenes. Bowles hates dealing with media. He just hates it. It's like going to the dentist. And when you're a head coach, like, man, that's part of the whole deal. That's why it didn't work with the Jets. He's a decent defensive coordinator. He's kind of respected around the league. But, man, I just don't know. Some guys are good coordinators and aren't good head coaches. And then Leftwich is still young. And his success was with Brady.
Yep.
Now, when he got the chance in Arizona, it didn't work out. But, again, he was green. So I don't know. It's either one. I honestly don't know.
Kind of depends on the personnel, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. That always is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, if they're going to go defensive heavy, if the team is still set up with that defense heavy, then you want to stick with Bowles, and keep that going. If obviously the defense starts falling apart, and the offense is still there, you want to stick with Leftwich, especially if you're going to go with a Trask. Brian hates Blaine Gabbert.
I think. Well, it's just he's not. You can't win with you are. You are waving the white flag before you start the season if your game plan is that Blaine Gabbert's going to be your starting quarterback. You are essentially saying we're not trying to win this year. And that's my opinion on it. I don't care what Arians has seen in practice. He could be a great practice quarterback. We've seen enough of him in real game situations to know that he ain't it.
I'm not here to be his backer. I can see it on Light and Arian's face. It's all over it. It's like it ain't come. Like the fans, once we heard everybody heard Brady was retiring. It was like, oh, got to get Russell Wilson. Oh, there's now Aaron Rodgers. If he's not happy, he's coming here. And now, as reality is setting in here, March 2nd, none of that is happening, and it might have to be Gabbert, Trask, Gabbert. And we were just talking about that here sitting. Okay, so say you start Gabbert, and Gabbert is 2-2, doesn't look that good, 1-2, and you put in the kid. And if the kid's not ready, do you start the kid? Okay, all right, they don't have anybody else. Then you hate Gabbert. So you're just going to start. He has never had a regular season snap when he gets in these games. You just go with him? Would you just go with Kyle Trask?
I would. I would bring a Teddy Bridgewater in.
Gosh,
you don't
man.
have anybody else, and so you'll just go with. Okay, you might. Now Arians did say being my Brady, like he changed his diet. He actually got stronger. His arm got stronger. I've seen him in practice. He did look a little bit stronger. But there's two ways to look at it. You can, yes, get a master's degree in quarterback. That's what Clyde Christensen said he did by being in the meeting rooms. But then, can he translate that and be like a Brady? You know what I mean?
I've watched a lot of artists paint, and I still can't paint for shit. So just because he stood next to, you don't get greatness by osmosis. Okay,
Right.
So he may be wearing Brady's jockstrap and doing whatever he can with its TB12 diet, but it ain't gonna change it's not gonna make you read better. It's not gonna make you react better. And some with a quarterback in the NFL, if they have it within 3 or 4 seasons, and with Gabbert, we have enough of a track record to know. And the problem I have with going is the QB position dictates what you're going to do with these contracts. Do you restructure and are you kicking the can down the road, sacrificing your flexibility and ability to contend 2 or 3 years from now in order to win now? And if you don't think you can win now, why would you do it? That's the part I don't get. And if they think they can win, look, I'll tell you this right now. If Arians and Leftwich can win with Blaine Gabbert as their starting quarterback, then they are 2 of the greatest coaches around, okay?
Hall of Fame. They're going in the hall.
Absolutely. Now, Suck Up and Pinion, they're both gone, right? I mean, you cut ties, you bring in cheaper options. That's a way to save $4.5 million right there, right?
He did say there's going to be a quarterback kicking competition, and it's not going to be a new one. It's this Borgalis. I think he was from the University of Miami. He was there the whole practice. It's season. The backup. It's funny. Nobody gives a shit about the backup. He had to shag his own balls, kicking daily 45, 50 yards out. One football, and then he just goes and he tried to hit me. I was at the indoor facility. I think he was just bored. They call it target practice. When a media guy is standing there, he's like, I'm going to try to see if I can knock him off. And I looked up, and all of a sudden, this football is coming right at my head. And I was actually videoing it, getting video with my phone, because there wasn't much going on. And it was one of these things where it was coming towards me, and I was like, I should have dropped my phone and, caught it. But no, I didn't, and it hit part of my hand, and I was like, holy shit, those footballs are rock solid. And it hurt. It was like tingling so bad, but I tried to man up and pretend like it didn't hurt at all. And then I threw it back to him, and he just grinned. And then the next week I was going to bust his balls, and he was out with COVID.
Oh.
But his name is Borgalis
from FIU. And you don't stash him on the practice squad if you're not going to. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall given Suckup's regression this year from the year before. What was he? Only 80% and 0 kicks from 50 yards or longer. I mean, you can't win with that in this NFL.
He doesn't have a strong. Yeah, he doesn't have a strong leg, and they say kicking competition. So there's that. And I don't know what happened with Pinion. Pinion was great his first year, and then maybe it's a mental thing.
But it's
maybe it's like a catcher in baseball where he can't throw it back to the pitcher. Maybe it was one of those things. So there is going to be a lot of changes with this Buccaneer team.
But you free up $2.2 million by cutting Pinion and bringing in a entry level punter, and you free up you end up saving about $1.8 million going with Borgalis over Suckup. You do have $1.5 million in dead cap hit with Suckup, but that's $4.5 million right there that you can play with to try and sign somebody else. I mean, $4 million that you can try and bring, keep a player around, and those guys, can't be whoever you're bringing in are going to be about replacement level, which is what those two were this season. So I don't see a problem with that. I'm glad that they have that level of flexibility.
Wow, you're real serious. You're really getting down to the punter and
Brian has those stats.
He's serious.
Yeah, he breaks it down. I mean, that's pretty much what Brian does.
I'm a stat guy.
Yeah,
I'm not like an advanced analytics guy, but I do like the numbers.
I can tell. I got you.
Rock, one more question. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for your time. It was gracious of you.
My pleasure, man.
Follow Real Rock Riley on all social media and also the Rock Stops Here podcast. What's your opinion on what's going to happen on the MLB strike? I know we switched from football to baseball, but I mean, I love baseball.
I know you do.
And I mean, where do you see it coming out? I mean, do you see the owners budging, the players budging? Is it that close?
I just know that I know friends, family that like baseball are just so pissed off. I mean, it looks. How can you not just get a deal done? Now, from what I read, and I read last night, the owners, the first week or two, the 2 weeks, like that's when they make the least amount of money. So they probably went in with a hardline stance like that. But I'm telling you, I have one guy, friend of mine in New Jersey, he just did a thing on his Twitter and put up his middle finger and said, F you, So it's just disheartening. And I know, Lummy, you love baseball, but they just have been losing in popularity. Seriously. I have a son, and he lives with his mom. He's 24, and I'm like, any of your friends, anybody talk baseball? No. If you're not on a travel baseball team and that's your thing, I don't think the casual fan gives a shit. It's sad. No, I'm not talking about Chicago with the Cubs or St. Louis with the Cardinals. You got some hot spots that are baseball towns, the Red
New Yorks,
Sox.
the Boston.
Right. But for the casual fan, man, they've been losing popularity. It's a shame, and it's ridiculous that they cannot agree. Both sides can't come to an agreement. You got to be kidding me.
The most frustrating part is the delay in actually starting negotiations in earnest. I mean, you wait until really the last week that you can possibly get it done to actually start trying. It's a shame. And you know who I feel for the most, Rock? I feel for the mom and pop businesses, the workers at the stadiums who rely on this income. And that's the part that drives me nuts, because these millionaires and billionaires are only thinking about themselves and not the community that they fleece for stadium subsidies and beg for this and that. And then this is the way you're going to turn around and repay us. This is your pitch that we deserve you to build us a $750 million stadium and give us, subsidize all of it. It's a joke. It's a slap in the face. And I wish that sports betting was still like 10 years away, because none of this would be happening. Because they're overplaying their hand, because sports betting is the only thing propping up a dying league like Major League Baseball.
Well, even the spring training sites and all the grapefruit and the Cactus League, they're losing out so much money with them. I mean, Port Charlotte, they don't do spring training.
Lakeland.
Port Charlotte's dead. Yeah,
Lakeland. The Tigers there, they rely on this. The
Dunedin Blue Jays.
The local economies are getting crushed because these people aren't coming in and buying their few hotel rooms. I mean, this like their Black Friday. That's their break-even point for the year for a lot of these small towns. It's a travesty, and they've been hit by COVID with it, and now they're getting double screwed because Major League Baseball can't get their stuff to get their shit together. It's absolutely infuriating.
It is. There's nothing I can disagree with you at all. And they started cutting the minor league system. Oh my God, man! They started doing that. And they talk about places that really rely. Some of these minor league teams, that's all they got during the summer. So, no. Listen, when Bud Selig at the end, I was like, oh, he's done. I can't stand Bud Selig. Oh, here comes Rob Manfred. Oh, it looks like he's got a few ideas. I think he's been even worse.
Yeah, he was yucking it up at the press conference. I mean, it's just...
there's a picture of him with the golf club. He was swinging a golf club. Even maybe there was a break in the action. He's on a balcony, and he's swinging a golf club and smiling. It just doesn't look good.
No, not at all. I mean, because their big thing is luxury tax, and it's like $20 million difference. I mean, come on. I mean, that's the TV revenue money that they're getting nowadays.
They don't need a single fan to enter any of their stadium, and they will still turn a profit. That's how big the media rights deals are at this point. And so
you're right.
And that's part of the problem, right? Because they're not reliant and dependent on the fans coming to the games anymore. They have guaranteed income. No matter what they do, they're gonna break even. And
Stu Sternberg, he doesn't even live in the town that he's the owner of the team. He lives in New York. He's a season Mets ticket holder. That's not right.
No,
I would.
Vinnick wouldn't do that, and being,
I think, Rock, you want to win at least the hearts of the people locally, but that's a documentary, man. The Tale of Two Owners, and Vinnick and Sternberg and track and chart the way that they've managed their franchises, that they've managed PR, that they've managed, growing their brand. The only thing that Sternberg is worried about is getting a new stadium so he can sell the team.
Yep.
That is it. He bought the team for less than $250 million, and he could sell it probably for $1.3 billion tomorrow if he wanted to.
You know your numbers, man. You do.
Yeah,
you're right on. He's right on, Lummy.
I don't think there's one person in this town that likes Stu Sternberg either.
I haven't heard a good word about the guy ever. Even his partners want to sue him. I mean, come on.
I mean, you got totally different owners. You got Vinnick. That's the community spends the money. At least the Glazers, let's get after the Raymond James Stadium thing. I mean, they're turning the table here.
Right.
Sternberg is just a complete dick. And I mean, like Brian with the numbers right there. I mean, billion. I mean, it's a no brainer. Invest in the community, and he just keeps he has that New York attitude. And that's what's pushing everyone away.
There's no
here.
connection to the Bay Area. Vinnick lives here now. He loves it. He's made it his home. And that's such an important part of it is you've got to be invested in the community. And that would change things. That would change the way they perceive their actions if they actually lived here and cared about their reputation in Tampa. But Sternberg doesn't care. He's a Wall Street guy, and he's always going to be a Wall Street guy.
Thank God, at least, we can end this on one positive, that they scrapped the half season in Tampa, half season in Montreal.
Yes, exactly.
You know one person that wanted that?
Stu Sternberg, because he wanted to inflate his value with two stadiums, so they would own two stadiums. They would have two television contracts. He was trying to essentially get one and a half time return immediately by breaking it up into two pieces.
Exactly.
Thank God on that one.
Cha-ching, but it had never have flown. Thank God.
Yep.
Thank God.
Well, we appreciate it, Rock. Make sure everyone it's a good follow. I follow him on all his social media. Real Rock Riley, and also his podcast, The Rock Stops Here. Is there anything else you have out there?
No, that's it, man. Sounds like you got a good show.
Thanks, man. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you on. And check out Rock's podcast, everybody. It is a great podcast.
Thank you, Rock.
Thanks,
and have fun up in the combine.
You too.
Have a good one. Thanks, man.
Good get, Lummy. How do you know Rock?
I've met him a couple times. He's a fan of Bubba.
Okay.
And he follows me on Twitter. I follow him.
Yeah, I need to start following him. I don't know how I haven't been, but
he goes to all the Buck stuff. I've seen him at a couple practices. I've seen him at the Rays games. He comes up, hey, Lummy, how's it going? We kind of shoot the shit on some sports. And then I saw that he was on. He was at the combine on his Twitter, and I said, hey, do you mind maybe coming on and talking to me and Brian? Just shoot the shit about what's going on with the Bucks, what you're hearing up at the combine. And he's like, yeah, anytime, Lummy, just tell me. So
that was awesome of him. Well, thank you, Rock, and thank you, Lummy, for getting that. One thing, and he's got to be careful, right? Because he's covering the team, and
you could tell too with the right when Stu Stern. I mean, he's like, I've been around him when he's had one or two, tall boys, and yeah, I mean, I think at this one he was trying to cover his ass on, like you said, local stuff. Didn't want to trash.
He can't piss people off, but at the same time, he's definitely been around it long. I mean, think about it. He goes back to the previous ownership group, the Namoli group, and he doesn't have bright shining things to say about Sternberg, and he lived in the Namoli era. I mean, I
don't think there's a lot of people that have a good thing to say about Namoli.
I mean, look. The two owners that we've had in the history of the Rays franchise have just been the fucking worst. I mean, it can't get much worse than that. And yeah, everybody with the Glazers taking over, I know the Culver houses were here, but they didn't have the finances and the commitment to winning that the Glazers brought to the table. And so the Glazers taking over, while they're not connected to the community the way they should be, although they are here and more so, over the last decade, than before, but they've been the lifeline. And then you look at what Vinnick's done with the Lightning. I mean, the best owner in sports, I think most people would say at this point. Yeah. I don't know many other owners who are as beloved as an owner as Jeff Vinnick is. I mean, I've never ever heard a single person say a cross word about Jeff Vinnick.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And early on, the Glazers had that with the stadium, and that's what I was saying early on. And I did not know this, Brian. Did you know that the stadium was the owners paid for zero, and it was, or the NFL paid for 0% of it, and it was all public funding?
Yeah,
and it's the only stadium in the NFL.
Yeah,
that.
It was a pretty exceptional move that, it was paid for with the hotel tax and the bed tax to subsidize it, and it really is why. Everybody looked around at it and said, why the fuck did we do? Why?
Yeah.
Why did we do this? Because they threaten you, right? Oh, we're going to move the team. We're going to move the team. We're going to move the team. And that's what they do. They hold you hostage with these threats of moving and relocating. Here's the thing. Let them go. Let them go. It's just not worth it at this point, especially the Rays situation. I mean, I think it is abundantly clear that there is no chance of them staying in St. Petersburg at all. No. So if you're St. Pete, you're already looking at your next use for that land. So they're gone from St. Petersburg. Whether or not they stick around in the area and stay in the Tampa area or something like that, that's another story. But they're absolutely gone from St. Pete. That ship has 100% sailed.
Well, like most cities too, you got to remember too, that was 96 when or 95, 96 when the Glazers, the Lightning were 2-3 years old. The Rays were barely, I think they were coming into existence. The Bucs were the only sports franchise, and the city of Tampa freaked out.
Well, you had the Rowdies.
Well, yeah.
I'm joking.
Yeah, the mutiny.
The mutiny.
Yeah.
No, they did freak out, and there is part of being. There is an intrinsic value to having sports franchises. Part of the prestige and the exposure of having a city like this is getting to host a Super Bowl, is getting to host an All-Star game, is getting to host these big-name events and these marquee events, is having the Rolling Stones have a venue where they can play. There is value to the Bay Area that's greater than just the dollars and cents of it. It's just the idea of enriching billionaires with another $1 billion without them really investing and putting it back into the community directly in some way, or at least paying half of the stadium.
Like Nick has done.
Get your skin in the game, And I would be willing to for our area to subsidize, half of a Rays stadium with the ability where the tie it to as much money as we're giving you, we get that back from other events. We get that back from parking. You want to own the stadium, then own the stadium. You want for us to subsidize the stadium, then we're going to get a percentage of that back as a community to reinvest how we see fit.
Just like how a lot of baseball fans are now turned off again, or they were turned off from the 94-95 strike. They barely came back, and now they're getting turned off again. I think that's what's happening here in the Tampa Bay area with Stu Sternberg owning the Rays. I think that so many people are turned off. I mean, when the Rays were making their playoff run the last 2 years, people were like, "We're not going to the game," and the Rays really didn't push it that much. I mean,
they're still selling out those. They're still pretty much selling out those playoff games.
But the excitement, like when the Lightning and the Bucks, the whole city.
I will say this: so you say what you want about the Rays, when that Tropicana field is filled with 33,000 fans, whatever the capacity is with the tarps in the corners or whatever, with the obstructed seating. When that place is filled, it is electric.
Oh, I'm not saying the city. I'm saying just the city around, just the hype, it just seems like the whole city is happy. Hey, go Bucks. Hey, during the playoff run, you never really anyone said, hey, go Rays. Well, because I think people hate Stu Sternberg.
Two things. One is they didn't make it very far, obviously, this season in the playoffs. And number two was when they were running it up in the Super Bowl and in the World Series, getting all the way to the World Series, they weren't here. Yeah. So I think that worked against them. Tampa Bay is fucking snake bit as a sports town when you think about it. Look at when the Lightning looked like they were going to finally break through in 2003, 2004. Not only the strike, they lost. They counted that as a salary year for all of the players. And so those guys they became free agents. They would have had a season. They would have had a chance to go back to back.
Oh yeah, that was the year that they should have went back
with
to
Richards
back.
and Hobby Boulin and LeCavier. They had a legitimate shot to go back to back and to run it back, and then the strike happened. Then the Bucks, huge fucking news, signed Tom Brady. COVID.
Yep.
So now you're going to start making fans for life. That's how you make fans for life when you win championships. And they're in this; those kids are in the stadium and they're feeling the energy. Well, you lost a whole year essentially of fans in the stadium,
just like the Rays. Yep.
And then you got 1 year with them, and that was great. You know, I wouldn't trade it for anything at this point, but but it wasn't the same thing. Now this year, it's the same thing. How do you get people to continue to buy season tickets? Who's your draw on that team? Come see Mike Evans. No. I mean, it's
if no one's throwing the ball, no one cares.
That's the whole thing. Is there's one position that really matters in the NFL, and one position only, and that's quarterback. And then the Rays, the same thing. You know, they're really good, and no fans in the stadium. And then they have a decent year to follow it up, but not a great year. Now injuries played a huge part in the last season with the pitching staff just getting absolutely torched. Yeah. But they still overachieved. Certainly, and I think they're positioned well again this year to compete. You know, Boston's back, kind of. The Yankees, who knows what's going to happen with them? Toronto's really the wild card. If Toronto puts it all together, it could be their division for the next 3 or 4 seasons.
Toronto looks good too. Let's go to these phone calls. 641.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
Hey, not much. I just wanted to give my USFL update.
Oh yeah!
Shit, I forgot about that.
We need the Brandon the Quad USFL handicap update.
Did you say in 5 minutes?
Yeah. No, I said a season preview.
It's gonna. I think it's gonna be awesome because I think if baseball doesn't come around, I think this might help the USFL.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it sucks that they're playing in Birmingham, though, so the home cities does.
Well, and it sucks that they're being sued already, and they may not even be able to use the name USFL.
Oh, even better.
The original USFL owners and groups are suing the new USFL, and that is problematic because it could pause or delay the start of the new season.
Okay, just call it the UTSFL.
Yeah, I want to get city correspondent because I didn't even know that.
Well, Brandon, we're such like your preview, I guess.
Well, are you telling me I need to fire you and get a new correspondent for my USFL coverage?
Yes, I'm sorry. I've been drinking too much.
You've been drinking too much? What are you drinking?
You got to cover USFL. What do you want him to do? He's depressed.
Coors Light.
Coors Light? You smashing the Coors Light? Are those mountains blue for you? Are those mountains blue?
Yeah.
That's your drink of choice? Do you drink any hard liquor or anything like that?
Crown and Coke. I just had a little bit of everything.
Now, with your health, not that you have major health issues, but with your health condition, does drinking impact you more aggressively? I mean, are you okay when you drink? How is it for you?
Yeah, well, I'm okay, but my mom wasn't when I have too many, because then she can just throw me into bed and tell me to go to bed early.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That makes it easy.
Yeah. Well, you've seen me drink pretty good.
Oh, of course.
I fill beers at the casino.
I mean, look at the man.
Well,
first of all, alcoholics can always drink more than non-alcoholics.
No, he was saying him.
No, I was saying you, Lummy. I thought you said Lummy. You can drink really well.
No, he said Lummy. You've seen me drink really well.
Oh, I thought you said I've seen. Okay, never mind.
He dropped. Yeah, but you have a Coober Claw. I mean, you can't blame yourself for that.
Yeah.
Oh, dropping a drink? No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
Yeah, but that's why I bring my drinking cup with me and my straws.
Oh, there you go. How would you sum up since we might be on delayed on the USFL? How would you sum it up in a couple words, Brandon, on the USFL?
It's going to be shitty, and I shouldn't even wasted your time on the draft because it wasn't even on TV.
Hey, Brandon, I have an idea for you. I don't know if you've ever tried this. When you go to sporting events, have you ever filled up one of your pee bags with beer and then, just like when you get through security, then switch it out and or have another bag hidden in like your leg that's actually connected and make the one bag look like it's in your leg, but it's actually filled with beer, not urine?
Oh, well, I never thought of that, but you know what we do? We just put my empty pee bottle and we put like shots in there because nobody wants to touch it because I think it's already because we make it seem like it just got rinsed out, so we just make it seem like it had pee in it already.
Oh, okay. So you don't have like a catheter that goes into like a bag. You just have a bottle that it
Oh no, he has a catheter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we just empty the bag into the portable urinal.
Right. What I'm saying is fill a clean bag with beer, make it look like that's the bag that's connected to you, but in reality, you have a fresh bag like under your pants in your leg, and so you're like, oh yeah, that's my pee bag, and it's got, we got to dump it out, but it's really filled with beer. So as soon as you get in the stadium, then you take your other bag out from your pants, and then you can drink from your pee bag. That's actually that they thought was your pee bag, but it was actually a clean one filled with beer.
That's a good idea, but I don't know who'd want to put the beer in.
Who'd put a beer into a clear bag? I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's no big deal. If I'm saving $12 a beer at the stadium, I'll drink out of your pee bag, your clean pee bag.
Well, let's just buy a brand new one and call it the beer bag.
Yeah.
But I have snuck liquor into the state fair though.
Oh, there you go. Iowa State Fair. That part was tough.
Yeah, because it's like $8 a shot there.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Say fuck that.
Fuck that shit.
That's right. Well, Brandon, thank you. Listen, we'll put the USFL on hold until we get a confirmed season started.
Yeah,
I think the XFL will start before that.
Oh,
well, then
we get another year then.
Then we need to find somebody to be our XFL correspondent.
Brandon, you're in charge of the XFL next year.
Well, I can do that because I'm more into the XFL anyway.
How about the WNBA, Brandon? Can you be our WNBA correspondent?
If there were hot bitches in there, I would.
What do you think of the league fining the New York Liberty $500,000 for flying their players chartered?
That's a pretty. All those bitches are going to be on PMS pretty soon.
There you go. There you have it from our WNBA correspondent, Brandon the Quad.
Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Love you.
Thank you, Brandon. Love you, buddy.
Did you hear about that, though, Lummy?
No.
The WNBA? So I guess the New York Liberty, their owners are actually like billionaires, unlike a lot of the owners that barely have any money in the WNBA. And so they don't care about losing a little bit. And the Liberty actually are probably one of the 2 or 3 franchises that aren't underwater at the end of every season and requiring subsidies from the NBA.
No.
But so they were flying their players private, and there's chartering, and there's a rule in the NBA that the WNBA that all players have to fly commercial.
Oh my God!
I mean, you got some of these girls. Brittany Griner's a tall lady.
I'm not flying commercial. Yeah, no kidding.
It's
like 6'10", isn't she?
Yeah, and she's a professional athlete, and they've got to fly cross country. That's absurd. But yeah, that's the big WNBA update.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that update on WNBA. 7:04. I'm sure they want to talk WNBA too.
What's going on? It's Hinstar. And yes, let's talk some WNBA ball.
It's the only thing manlier than tennis.
I mean, well, some of them women. I can just see it now with the Hunter Law Firm commercial with Brian condoning sneaking in beer and piss bags.
Hey, whatever you got. I wasn't saying I was doing it. I was just advising. I was asking Brandon if he had ever done it. That was my question. I didn't advocate for it. I did a little bit, but
you did.
Whatever.
Kind of.
It's not an actual crime. I'm sure.
With baseball, I really don't care if there's an MLB season. Down here in Charlotte, we got a great AAA team.
Yeah, but you're not going to have a AAA team.
You're not going to have that either, Hinstar. They're locked out.
We're not going to have that either?
No. Minor League Baseball. Minor League Baseball is run by Major League Baseball.
It is?
Yeah.
How about Bill Murray owned it all?
Bill Murray.
No, that's a movie.
Yeah.
Oh. What about Kevin Costner? He's in Durham, right?
Yeah, he plays for the Durham Bulls.
He plays for them?
Okay, he plays for him. They're bringing him back.
Awesome.
Fuck it, you might as well just bring any scab retired player, any whatever player.
Listen,
just bring all Willie Mopena back.
I'm just happy that I can go downtown Durham and see Susan Sarandon, and that's just going to make me really happy.
Yeah, well, good luck. You're just going to be stuck watching tennis, okay? Your WTA and covering...
Well, I would say this whole Ukraine-Russia thing doesn't do Medvedev any favors. He was already hated
Yeah.
before this. He needs to go full heel now. I mean, I think he just needs to embrace it and just go like WWE full heel. Have work on his English a little bit and his presentation and fucking just own it.
If anybody knows the history of Medvedev, he's actually done some things. He's coming up through the junior circuit and through the ITF, and used to call it the satellite tour. He's actually had some very racial comments, and he actually got suspended from a game when he was playing Donald Young back in Charleston, I think back in like 2015, and he said some things. And to be where he is at now with all the sponsorships in today's society and culture, I'm very shocked by it.
It'll all fall apart. He's now number 1, though.
He is, and Djokovic just fired his coach today.
Wow.
Djokovic ain't having it.
He should maybe he should just go get a fucking vaccine and stop being a baby so he can go to these countries where it's required.
Did you see Zverev blow up in Acapulco and slam his racket against the ump's chair and verbally assault him?
Yeah, it's the only time tennis is really fun. It's when they're beating up the umpire chair and having disagreements with him.
Wait, so there's going to be a UFL and an XFL?
Yeah.
USFL and then XFL is going to be the year after. So, yeah, there will be 2.
Which one is the Rock own?
The XFL.
XFL. That's one that'll be successful. Bet on the Rock.
You think so?
I mean, it's tying itself to the NFL. And you've got the Rock out front. I mean, if it has any chance of succeeding, if one of those two has any chance, it would be them.
Now, on baseball, and sorry if I'm glib about this, so this lockout, the owners are locking out the players. What's like the major sticking point on this?
Money.
There you go.
What,
the players want more of it.
get
The
out
owners
of-
want them to have less of it.
Exactly.
And then Manfredi, didn't they pass that thing where like the 1 seed plays the 8 seed, or they get to choose who they play and stuff?
I think that's all a part of what they're trying to work through is the extra playoff games and series and all of that.
That's one of them.
Like-
I think they're going to expand it to 14 teams or 16 teams, one of those.
Yeah, and they said like the 1 gets to choose between the 14th and the 13th seed on who they play. And
Yeah,
I just feel like it's getting too gimmicky.
I hate it all. You don't need that many
fucking
teams.
baseball.
That's everything that's wrong with the NBA is that every team makes the playoffs. Hockey's a little bit different because the line, between, although this year it's pretty stark, but the line between, your 5th best team and your 10th best team isn't that dramatic. In baseball, it's usually pretty fucking stark.
Yep.
It's usually not that close.
No.
And so by diluting, I mean, why the fuck are you playing 162 regular season games if you're going to let over half the league into the playoffs?
Brian, remember what the first word you said when he asked what the problem was?
Money.
There you
I know,
go.
it's all about money.
It's all about money.
It's all about
Hinstar knows all about that.
Well, speaking of money, I'm actually meeting some clients, so I will talk to you guys later. Great show. Talk to you guys later.
Mike Hinstar, yeah, go sell that house. He's a good guy. We have another call, though. We'll pick it up real quick. 443.
What's happening, y'all?
Oh, it's a
sad boy.
Sad Baltimore
Man, I was
guy.
getting the busy tone when I tried to call in. This must really be
good.
the
The
best
phones-
full platform.
The phones
were working
yeah.
then. If you were getting the busy tone, that new patch that Blitz put in is working fine.
For that 443
yeah,
number.
I mean, that was just a compliment to you guys. It really is the best dual platform afternoon sports show in the world.
Between the times of 4 and 5:30.
On Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Sometimes Thursdays.
On Wednesdays. Yeah, shit. I always forget those small details.
Yeah.
Hey, I know we touched on Huggins last week. I wanted to see if you guys saw any of the quotes that were said last night after the loss to Oklahoma.
No, what did he go off with?
We just don't compete. We don't have competitive guys. We don't have guys we've had in the past. It's my fault at the end of the day. I signed off on these guys being part of the West Virginia basketball team. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because I wear this WU insignia with pride. All I can tell you is that I will fix it. They may not see some guys they like watching, but I just can't do it. We've got some guys that just don't listen, don't care.
I mean, it very well may be. It's a tough fit, and his style of coaching has gone to the wayside. And he may have a foot out the door already at this point, but I don't know how you go. What they start the season 11-1 or something like that, something stupid.
Well, they were all against all shit teams.
Well,
but yeah, our only
mostly
loss was
shit
like
teams.
Marquette.
I mean, you lost to Marquette, but you beat Clemson, you beat UConn. UConn's not a shit team. UAB is not a shit team. Now they're not a big name team. They're not, they definitely scheduled soft for sure, which they don't always do. So maybe he knew something a little bit that they weren't going to be as good.
What doesn't make any sense? I don't know exactly what our record was. Maybe like 14-2 at one point. And I was looking at the rankings, and we just weren't in there. And there were some teams that were like, I don't know, 10-4 or 9-5, something in the rankings. So I feel like everybody knew something. And maybe it's because the Big 12 is that competitive and that good. I don't really know. I mean, I know there's not nearly as many teams as, like, let's say the Big 10, but that's because we don't have 20 teams in our conference,
Well, but it's just not a typical Bob Huggins team going out there giving up an average of almost 70 points per game. Right. That's just not their style of play. And in Big 10 play, Big 12 play, it's been even worse. I mean, they've been giving up 75 points a game. That is not their identity. That is not their brand.
He got out of the Press Virginia thing. I want to say I was still in school probably 3 or 4 years ago. Once Javon Carter and Daxter Miles left, they kind of got rid of that because he didn't have those players anymore. But I know he's still defensive-minded, and he's never going to have an offensive showcase team. But it's just been hard to watch because I feel like I turn on the TV, we may be leading at halftime, and I'm just expecting a loss. We cannot close out games. I don't know if it's players giving up or the coaching or what.
Maybe with Huggins' coaching style, he almost, and I know Patino was forced out, but he almost needs to go to one of those small schools like Iona that he goes in as a legend and those players are going to listen to you no matter what.
But let's talk about, and thank you for the call, but let's talk about the real legend, the end of an era, Coach K retiring at Duke, coaching in his last home game against North Carolina, Saturday, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. East, ESPN's covering it. ACC Network's going to have wall-to-wall coverage. It's one of the most expensive sporting tickets ever in the history of athletics. I think the average seat is selling for something like $7,000 a ticket. Now, granted, it's a small stadium, 9,500, very diehard, big student section. Not a lot of tickets to be had, but man, it feels to me. He is the only coach that I've ever known at Duke. I've been a Duke fan my whole life. He's the
Am I still on the phone? I heard the hang up thing, but I hear you through the phone still.
Oh, hey, little Purple Georgia, thank you for calling.
We should have pretended like he wasn't.
Well, that's what I was confused. I turned YouTube back on, and then I heard two different voices. I'll see you guys.
Bye. So,
sorry.
Going back to those teams he had in the mid to late 80s into the 90s, just an institution. You rarely see it anymore at any level with a coach who's there. I mean, you've got a few that are there. They're not quite his level. Tom Izzo, even Matt Painter, what he's starting to do with Purdue, and he's been there a while. But man, it's going to be sad for me to see him go. Were you ever a Coach K fan, Lummy?
I wasn't really a Coach K fan. I respected what he did. I mean, obviously, growing up, I kind of was like a Florida basketball fan or just everything Florida. And obviously Duke was always like on the top. So I respect his coaching ability, but I never was like a big fan.
Yeah, what I really love about him is he has coached through pretty much 3 or 4 different eras of the game. It was one thing to be a legend like Wooden and a legend like who was the Smith at Dean Smith at Carolina. Yeah. The game didn't change a whole lot during their coaching career. It was a kind of a stagnant game. It wasn't to the level of with the kids and the draft and the NBA and 1 year and 2 years and all these different rules. It's really fascinating the way he's been able to do it and stay competitive every single year by building and literally making Duke a brand. I mean, he went there and there was nothing there. It's kind of like what Walt Disney did in Orlando, right?
Yep.
He arrived. No establishment, no history of winning, no prestige, and he literally turned them into the #1 basketball franchise in all of college basketball. It's kind of like what Mark Few has been able to do and managed to do in Gonzaga.
Oh yeah.
Which is very impressive as well. But I am sad to see Coach K go. I mean, I guess Jimmy Boeheim's still hanging on at Syracuse. He is the longest tenured coach in basketball at 42 years. But Coach K coming to an end, 38 years, 39 seasons, I guess now.
1,100 wins.
I would say he is the greatest head coach in college basketball history. Who would you have, Lummy?
I'd say I would have to put Coach K as number one in my era with Dean Smith. Number two, and then Bobby Knight. I like Bobby Knight with his fiery atmosphere.
Yeah, he was fun, but again, it was a different era. He would never, ever, ever have been able to coach. It's kind of like Bob Huggins, right?
Yep.
The game passed Bobby Knight by.
Bobby Knight knew right around that time when to get out.
That's what's so amazing about Coach K and his tenure is the game never passed him by. Even the last few years, it seems like the game has passed Boeheim by. But Coach K, the game never passed him by. And maybe that's part of the reason physically, and he realizes he can't sustain this any longer, so he's getting out while the getting's good. But, man, I'm going to be pulling for Duke all the way in March Madness and hoping that Coach K rides off into the sunset number one. That would be, I think, the storybook ending and the ending that he deserves. And he certainly has a roster who can do it if they can put it all together.
No, I kind of agree with that. That would be a good ending for his career. Brian,
Lummy,
I appreciate you coming today. Obviously Wednesday, we're gonna obviously keep going at 4:00. I appreciate Rock Riley coming on.
Yes, big thanks to Rock. You can follow him on Twitter, Real Rock Riley at Real Rock Riley.
Yep, and the Rock Stops Here podcast. He does different interviews from sports and athletics to just people in the broadcasting industry.
I didn't know he was so into theater though. That's pretty amazing.
I did not either.
He's not. I'm just making that up. But he may be. I was
like, what? I never seen that honest thing. Don't forget, we are live tomorrow, twitch.tv/The Bubba Army, 6 a.m. to 10. And then we will do an after show on Facebook and YouTube around 10:15, 10:20. Thank you, everyone that tuned in. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Lummy. Always fun.
We will see you next week.
Next week.
See you, everyone.